what we're going to do is have a reading after I'm done with this just short introduction and tell you how it's going to work. We're going to have a reading from the David Suzuki Foundation's Declaration of Interdependence. That Susie's going to read a shortened part of it and then have a link if you want to read the whole thing. It's very powerful. Then we will summarize very quickly the community conversations that we've had so far, and it should be just a quick minute on each one. So recall your memory of what each one was about, or if you weren't able to attend one of the previous ones, you'll get an idea what it was. Oh, we have a survey before that that is just real quick for I'll put in the chat, and you can put in your name and where you're from, and if there's any groups that you're involved in locally. Okay, so we'll do that after Susie's reading, and then we're going to have breakout rooms. So we will have a set of questions. So we'll have one of us facilitate. And so with those questions, there'll be 4 of them, but we don't want you to answer all those questions because we'll just have like 12 minutes. So pick one, and if it's been exhausted, maybe 2 at the most. So that's the idea. We're not going to exhaust everything, but we're going to get started with some ideas. So then and so we'll want somebody to take some notes so that you can then, when we come back to the full group, share briefly what each group discussed. And I think we'll have 4 groups here. And then after we've done that, we will have another set of questions and do the same thing, another breakout group. And then we'll discuss those for about 12 minutes. And then we'll come back again, whole group, and share thoughts that we had. And then we'll discuss just for a bit later about what's next. Okay, and what you would like to do. So, okay, so that's the format. So, well, I'll let Susie take it away with the reading to get us off started with on the right foot.
Mm-hmm. Well, good evening and welcome, everyone. So this is an excerpt from David Suzuki Foundation's Declaration of Interdependence. This we know, we are the earth, through the plants and animals that nourish us. We are the rains and the oceans that flow through our veins. We are human animals related to all other life as descendants of the firstborn cell. The stability of communities of living things depends on diversity. We are interconnected, using, cleansing, sharing, and replenishing the fundamental elements of life. This we resolve. All this that we know must now become the foundation of the way we live. At this turning point in our relationship with Earth, we work for an evolution from dominance to partnership, from fragmentation to connection, from insecurity to interdependence. May it be so. May we come together tonight in common unity with open eyes, ears, hearts, and minds to envision and act to build beloved communities. Welcome.
Thank you, Susie. Okay, what I'm going to do now is in the chat, I'm putting a link, and I'd like you to click on that and fill it out. It's just a brief of what your name, where you're from, because we'd like to know where everybody's from, and any organizations you're with. Just, it shouldn't take long. And then if you come back to the, click on the Zoom, come back to the screen here. So if you would, in the chat, open up the chat, click on that link and fill it out, and it'll come up, and then come back. Everybody see the link there?
I see the chat, but I don't see the link.
It says https cscc-edu-zoom. Do you see that? It's a hyperlink that I sent out.
It'll open in your web browser, not on
Yeah, Yeah, you have to click on it in the chat. Yeah.
It's
to
from
find it.
Bill Lyons.
Yeah, it'll say
Oh,
from
there. Yeah, it's a real long link. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long link, but it's a hyperlink. Just click on it and fill it out. Shouldn't take about a minute, and then come back. Everybody found it?
And also in the chat, Susie put the Declaration of Interdependence from our Google Drive, but I also put the David Suzuki Foundation website.
Okay,
There's a beautiful video on their homepage where he's reciting it and lots of graphic imagery and
okay, so
So you can always click on those links and they'll be saved on your browser for later.
right. So yeah, that way you don't have to save them now. I mean, they'll be there when you're done.
You can save the chat too.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
You can also do that if you know how to do that.
So
Right.
it saves, well, you just, but it
gets
saves all the links in one click and you can keep resaving it.
Right.
That
Right.
makes I'm lazy, so that's what I do.
That works too if you know how to do it. That's great. Okay, has everybody filled out the survey? Typed in your name, where you're from, and yeah. Everybody, thumbs up if you filled out the survey.
Tony, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, will we share the contact information amongst ourselves?
We can share that. We will, yeah. That's why we're collecting it there, so we can share it amongst everybody. Yeah.
Well, yeah, who's gonna do that? That's what I'm asking. I didn't know you was gonna do that, so I don't care if you have it, but it'd be nice if we all had it.
Yeah, for sure. We can share that with everybody too. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you want to also put your name and where you're from in there too. But yeah, you want more than that, the contact information, then yes, we can share that as well. And we'll be following up with the survey to everybody. And we assume that everybody will want that information there. So yeah, if you don't, let us know.
Thank
Okay.
Yeah,
you.
unless someone has problems, when I send out the after email, I could CC everyone instead of BCC.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless someone has a problem with that and they can let me know they'd rather not be part of that. Because there'll only be 20 some people on
Yeah.
it. So
Okay, I see. I think Patricia just joined. So Patricia, there's just a link there that's from me, Bill Lyons, that hyperlink. If you click on it, it'll just ask you to fill out your name, where you're from, and any organizations that local that you're affiliated with. And then if you could just do that, that'd be great there. So, oh, we're still getting some more coming in here. So I just admitted someone else. Because we're going to go into breakout groups in a minute here. So yeah. All right. Well, first we'll do the diagram and summarize the previous conversation. So Aaron and Patricia, you'll see a link there. Here, I'll just put it in the chat again one more time if you're not clear which one it is. So here, if you click on that link, and it'll take you to a quick little survey for your name, where you're from, and any organizations local you're affiliated with. And we'll collect that information, then we can share it with everyone later. So, okay. All right. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is we've had, like I said, 6 conversations so far, and we want to get a quick summary from the different people who did them. So let me share my screen here with everybody. Okay, if you can see this is a summary of our 6 conversations. So I'll let each facilitator tell just very quickly within a minute, and you can use the diagram to get a gist of what we talked about there. So let's see, Sarah Coy, do you want to do this one here? That you
Sure.
were, yeah.
Yeah, so Athens, we had recently passed a ban on plastic bags when we had our first conversation down here. And Yost immediately started suing us, the state, our attorney general. So we discussed things like state preemption, which was him pointing at the law from 2019 and saying, oh, we have our law before you have yours, so you can't ban these plastic bags. And then we talked about other situations where there was preemption, and those included some tobacco, people trying to ban flavored tobaccos and the state telling them that they couldn't. And then, of course, we can't ban the frack waste coming into our county. So those were different types of preemption that we discussed.
Okay, all right, thanks, Erico. Yeah, and home rule also, that preemption kind of goes against that. So number 2, Youngstown. So Susie, if you could just briefly remind everybody what the conversation was about.
Right. Yes. So our second conversation was the regulatory fallacy. And our current working group is Sobe Concerned Citizens, trying to stop a proposed downtown pyrolysis plant to superheat tires, to create gas, to heat some downtown buildings and sell it for profit. And so the regulatory fallacy is such that we think there's actually government agencies protecting us, but as many activists know, actually not. So it gives us a false sense of security. Permits that are issued by the OEPA and others are really geared toward economic growth, not the health and safety of the community. So we currently have a moratorium, which means no pyrolysis plants of any type, because you certainly can't target one business or you might be sued for that too.
Okay, thanks,
That's
Susie. Okay, our third one, Joe, you were the facilitator for that one.
Yeah, I call this one industrial excess landfill, Ohio's regulatory train wreck. IEL was one of the original Superfund sites. It's a 30-acre site, 30 times the capacity of the infamous Love Canal. It was a former sand and gravel pit excavated down to just above the water table. It's in the center of town. It's unlined, and it was used in an industrial and military waste landfill. And to date, the record of decision said we're going to use monitored natural attenuation to clean it up, which is nothing more than a 4-inch semi-permeable cap and a fence. And so the record of decision in 2002 said that nothing was leaving the site. Well, they've discovered 1,4-dioxane now in the next adjacent town. It's been an absolute disaster, and it continues to be, to all the health of all the residents.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Okay, our fourth one, Tish, you were the main facilitator for that one.
Yep, that one, we talked about rights of nature in that one and the efforts that have happened in Ohio, as well as all the pushback against rights of nature. We also discussed how our system and culture views nature as property instead of us as humans realizing that we are nature and part of the ecosystem. So our system that legalizes and permits harm to nature is actually legalizing harm to ourselves, and that we have to start being more honest about this, where we are, how we got here, and then reckon with some of those truths so that we can then really start strategizing about new ways to create the just and sustainable communities we envision. So in other words, we need a cultural shift as well as a legal shift.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Tish. Okay, and our last one, Susan and then Jim. They're about to, well, I'll let them tell. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what Tish said is kind of a segue into the sixth conversation. We need a new way of living and being, and our needs aren't being met, our environment's not being protected as per the first 5 conversations reveal. So permaculture is a study of practice that shows the modeling of patterns that work. And we looked at those social patterns that do work, like commoning and interdependent communities. And, you know, we have the ability to create, all these systems we've created have come from the human ingenuity. So we can create something new. And Jim and his group in the Eco Village did that. They have an Eco Village, and he spoke to how they recognize all the human and non-human members of that community. So we ended on a hopeful note with that 6th conversation.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Okay, I'll stop sharing
You
my.
skipped the 5th one.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I guess I did. Sorry. Okay, let me go back. Oh, yes, I did. All right, let me go back and share it again. Thanks, Tish. Oh, okay, I was reading Rights of Nature in the 5th one and I missed. So Sherry was involved in the 5th one. We went from 4th to 6th. Sorry about that.
We're not good at counting.
In our community, and the conversation evolved, well, came about of how we view water, whether it's property or a commodity, or we brought in the indigenous belief system where water is more sacred. And in our area, we rely solely on the Machindo aquifer for water, and there have been 2 attempts since 2018 to try and commodify the water. The latest attempt was a genetically engineered salmon facility that would withdraw over 5 million gallons of water a day and dump almost the same amount every day. And all control existed at the state level, and it really made the 400,000 people that set over the aquifer think about what water meant to them. And our conversation kind of revolved around that.
Okay, thanks, Sherry. Sorry about cutting you off there.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so, okay, as everybody's filled out the link there, right? So let me pull up, okay, the next thing that we've got to do then is our breakout groups. Okay, so there's going to be 4 questions, and here I can put them in the chat so that they're there, but we're not going to discuss all of them. So each breakout group is going to react to 1 or maybe 2 of them there. So you're going to be randomly assigned, and then those of us who are facilitating, we may have to move around to go to that. So yeah, so we're going to have 4 breakout groups, so it should be about 6 of us in each one there. So yeah, Susie, if it'll just take her a minute, then we'll have about 12 minutes in that group. I'll time it, and then after about 11 minutes, you'll see a thing about, you'll have a minute to join the whole group, and then we'll share what we discuss, and then we'll do it one more time. Okay. So
Okay, they're ready to go. So
okay, ready to go? Okay, I think we're ready. So go ahead. Let's just have a real brief recap, and like I said, hopefully this will ignite some ideas, and we'll have to continue conversations, we hope, and further. But group 1 was the one that I was in, and I'll let Sarah Koya, she took some notes, so just tell people briefly some of the ideas that we brought up.
The 4th topic, which was whether or not our electeds or our electoral process was going to solve our problems. And one of our group was from Oregon and was talking about changing the laws not working in Oregon because they're being preempted and they're not even getting their law on the ballot after they've passed all the signature or gotten all the signatures. And I discussed that it doesn't always work here either because it's a law. And even if we change the law, our electeds can change it back, because I was witnessing that today. We talked about number 3, which is what are the obstacles to our goal of a more just community. And those obstacles were number one, Citizens United, i.e. money, which is speech right now. And then gerrymandering and state preemption. These were brought up as things that were obstacles to number three, and also education, awareness. Those were things that were obstacles. And then Cindy was mentioning a concept of bioregionalism as a way of creating intentional communities, just outside of the scope of the government box, but just doing it on our own as a free people and going and helping your neighbor. And I didn't know if it was kind of like a mutual aid thing, but she said it's not that structured. But so we talked about those concepts.
Okay. Yeah, Michael, I think your sound is coming through there. So, okay, group number two. There, go ahead. I think Susan, you were the one in charge of that, right? So I don't know who's speaking for your group there, or you.
I'm the spoke.
Yeah.
I think you're muted. Okay. Brenda, you're muted there.
There we
There you
go. So we zeroed in on that fourth question also. Well, 3 and 4, obstacles and can we change? The obstacles were very similar to what Sarah shared. Preemption, that even if you get all the signatures, even on a timely basis, they can overturn it, not allow even a vote. And then education and awareness, that just a lot of people don't really know what's going on or what the legal processes are. I'm going to actually put me in that category. That's part of why I show up for these things, because I get to learn. Susan Vonderhaar brought up, is it disingenuous to go around collecting these signatures for something that we understand really isn't even going to happen, like getting on the ballot? And that was the discussion we were in when our time ran out. And I was going to say, yes, it's absolutely worth it. Any means you have to engage with the general public about what's going on and what some processes are to remedy is ultimately going to be what changes things. If we just sit around and go, it's not going to work. Sometimes you find what's going to work while you're doing what doesn't work. So that's the piece that I'm going to say. That I didn't really speak up much in our group. I was taking the notes. I really appreciate Greg explaining to me exactly how things can get preempted. I did not understand that you could go through the process, follow the rules, and it still get preempted. And then I really love that Sarah mentioned Citizens United, because I almost don't want to engage in any conversation about politics in any way, shape, or form, as long as Citizens United is on the books. It's not government by the people, it's government by corporations. But thank goodness for people like you and us working to educate ourselves and anybody else that'll show up and pay attention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, group three. I think that was Tish's group, right?
Yep. And Kim, you took notes, so I don't, oh no, Lynn did. Sorry, not Kim, sorry. It was Lynn.
Lynn, you're muted, so you have to mute yourself there.
Went away for no reason. Okay. Okay. Do you think we can change the current system through the electoral process? And we all reached consensus that the system is not broken. It is fixed. You know, we've been through this forever. Peter said we can change part of the system, perhaps. And he had just read the book From Cell Death Wouldn't You Say. He thinks we must go outside of the system to change it. There's lack of sufficient change no matter what you do. And he says Tish and he were approaching the Cuyahoga chief executive to make April Climate Health Month. But, you know, is that going to work for anything? And Joseph says, no, the system is broken. The system is fixed. It's a two-party system. Value and property is, you know, given precedence over people and human speech.
Lynn said, bite them in the ass every day. Kim said, there are some things midterm elections can do for us. There's a lot of uncreative people just following playbooks that are in right now, sweep them all out. But if she's not sure that if that, or they're gotten rid of, will this really change stuff? Tish says if we just put new faces in, can we get any change? No, the system is so corrupt that it's always about protecting the money and the power. And she brought up Citizens United. We all know we're screwed. If it was truly one vote, one person, it would be wonderful, but it has become so twisted because of money. Kim said all the deception right now is resulting in a shift of consciousness. What has happened to our country. She thinks a shift of consciousness will result. Peter said, yes, the caricature of evil taking over, Elon Musk, there may be some consciousness changing resulting from this terrible situation. So we remain hopeful, but we are very disgusted.
Okay, thanks, Lynn. Okay, and our last group was Charlotte. Charlotte's group.
And I'm the note taker, so.
Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
We started on, it was the first question about common themes and just that you see a David versus Goliath, where you have citizen groups up against the state and the corporate world. And some of the things we brought up is that there needs to be a change in culture, and that there will be hopefully tipping points or flash points that can be used to bring the community in, like the earthquake over by Youngstown. And we also spoke about the need to change how or consider how to relate to nature. And we closed. I mean, it was a really good discussion. We could have used a lot more time, but the difficulty of how you have these core groups of people working on an issue, and how do you reach out to the rest of the community to inform them so that they can get involved with it. And that's where we closed on.
Okay, thanks, Sherry.
Mhm.
Okay, folks, we'll do it one more time here, the same format. I've put questions 5 through 9. Again, we're not going to answer them all, but you just get you to react to your favorites there, 1 or 2. So we'll have our breakout groups again. Susie, you'll probably be in different ones now randomly, and then we'll discuss again for about 12 minutes, and we'll come back and share. To start with summarizing again quickly what we discussed with those questions there. So Lynn was so kind in our group to take notes there, so I'll let her read the note because she took such great notes the first time.
Okay, the pressure's on. Is my mute button off?
We can hear you.
I just can't see. That's my problem. We took question number 7 about, building resilience in the community. And Peter said the Great Lakes, Lake Erie Southern Shore, they work on that, and Mother Nature will be teaching people through heat, air pollution, and it's going to hit the kids and older people first. So to enhance resilience means we have to change how we think about health. And Bill says, how does Mother Nature help create resilience in a community? Peter said natural disasters. You aren't going to get your insurance anymore. The mental health industry is going to be very put upon. The ERs will fill up. Lynn says in Youngstown, the tree planting and gardening in the face of climate crisis is just exploding. Michael said things look dour. We're in a business transaction deal making model. Tech interferes with personal interactions, and he has gotten himself and 3 young people to organize a book club, and they're reading the book All We Can Save. And he says, look at our demographic. Where's the youth? Where's the Black and brown people? How do we reach people? How do these business transaction, gross capitalism models get defeated by humanism? And if you can break on through to the other side, as Jim Morrison saying, you'll be received by other human beings. Joe says you have to change some minds. signed up for a forestry class and they said, harvest your old growth trees. And he said, no, they have the right to live as much as we do. And he says, pick up litter, talk to your neighbors, treat folks the way you want to be treated. Bill says polarization can get in the way, finding common values. Joe said again, once again, churches put food into co-ops. Michael says it's great to have human connection. Peter says connection between generations and with nature. Bill says nature does well and we do well. And we need to have more of the commons. And Diana says, is Youngstown ever united around a common theme? Not everyone plants the trees. So she's been racking her brain to try to come up with what common theme will unite everyone. And Bill says, well, big changes come from 3.5% to something 5% of the population.
I have to interject. Lynn, that was better than Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Yeah, Lynn, you're amazing. Okay, group number two.
Oh, well, I came in late on group two and started writing some notes. So
Okay.
if anyone else wants to join in from group two. So we were talking about if you could plan the best conditions for your community, what would they be? Kind of 6 and 7, what ideas to make your community. And it was a lot about people mobilizing and networking and making connections and coalition building. The Ohio Citizen Action was mentioned, and other groups that have worked public witness events, interfaith and non-faith groups that are working to connect people, because that's the biggest thing. We talked a little bit about apathy and that kind of thing. And then we went to 9, and that was what are some of the values? And, it got a little everywhere, but it's recreate local stories about places that are no longer there. I thought that was really interesting, like we went fishing in this stream, when we were kids, and now there's a supermarket there. So that was one of the comments. And interdependence, that we are all nature, and to help educate people that we are not separate from nature. We are nature, we depend on nature. Also, Cindy talked about regenerative practices in the Cincinnati area for the agriculture and soil. And our basic need is clean air, clean water, healthy food. And then Patricia brought up, which people may not know, in late fall, Youngstown, some people applied for and got an FCC license for a radio station. So we have the license. We just need lots of money and lots of community building to get that going. But it is on the table in the Youngstown area now. So,
Okay,
so that's
thanks.
group 2. Thank you, group 2.
Thanks, Susie. Tish, is group 3? I don't know who's your spokesperson.
Yeah, Kim took notes for us.
Okay.
Yeah, we looked at questions 7 and 9 and started with number 9, which is what are some values you think most of your community could agree on? And Greg mentioned safety. We all want to live in safe communities. Bill mentioned biodiversity, meaning if we were all aware of the matter of life and death that biodiversity is, we would of course share that as a common value. Tish mentioned healthy water, healthy food, healthy communities, well-being. Errol mentioned one person, one vote, and meaning, if we realize we all want to be represented, if we realize that we're not, that's one thing, but we can definitely, we would all want to be represented. And then there was, we don't want our elected officials to lie to us. There, no deliberate propaganda or disinformation. Why do we allow this? I guess that also goes to being represented. And then we shifted over to the number 7. What ideas do you have to make your community more resilient? One is bioregioning, which is moving toward this, local food, healthy water, that kind of thing. And another is Tish mentioned, turning away from dependence on these other systems. And really, I think that's kind of a mindset and taking action and just deciding to do it.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Kim, and thanks everybody. So the last thing before we just kind of close out here is I'll put.
You want to hear
these-
from Sherry, or do you have no time?
Sorry. Oh, did I miss a group?
Well, group 4, but
Oh,
if
group
you're
4,
out of
sorry.
time, that's also.
No, we're not out of time. Go ahead. No, sorry.
try
I
and
thought
make-
I heard from all 4. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'll try and make it quick if I can read where all my arrows are connecting in my notes.
No, take your time.
We were all in agreement of having local self-government, and Susan Catterall is from Indiana, and in her county they actually do have some local control over the CAFO issue as far as permitting that the state can't override. Sarah Koya shared about community benefit plans, community benefit agreements, where the community would be able to set certain things in place the industry would have to meet before they could obtain the permit to come into the community. And so, I mean, that was pretty interesting. And Sarah Koya shared a lot about that and gave an example that industries that will obtain, say, grants for housing, that the community could say, well, you have to allocate so much money to fair housing or senior housing, things like that. And she also shared about reimagining Appalachia. And I guess Sarah Koya, I did not get enough notes on that really to explain that, except that she recommended that's a good group to check out online. And let's see.
They have a blog about community benefits on their like their org page, and it's reimagining Appalachia. But yeah, a lot of at least before the Trump administration, because we've had meetings since then, and some of the shit is already gone from the web. But like their community benefit agreement documents from the Department of Energy, for instance, are gone from the web since Trump's been in office. There's several of them that are gone. Some of our other groups have some stuff that they had screenshotted from before, but it's harder to find that stuff on the government pages now than it was before. So, but Reimagine Appalachia still has theirs up. So.
Okay. And then we kind of closed. Susan Catterall from Indiana shared, because they have a number of lakes in their county, and they do have a planning commission. And in that area, I mean, something like a community benefit plan would be very beneficial to allow the community to put in some protections for the lakes and the water.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we couldn't hear him, so he put the little sign up. John Spartak, there was a case, Ray, W-R-A-Y versus Spartak, 1997, where the Department of Transportation had to pay some money because they'd infringed and taken like something under 2/10 of an acre. So if you want to look that up, Ray, W-R-A-Y versus S-T-V-A-R-T-A-K.
Okay. Thanks, Charlotte.
So apparently it's his family. So we had the first person thing going on.
Okay. All right. Great. So the last thing here before we close now is we've just got a few questions here, just real brief, just to gauge, get a barometer. First of all, how do you feel about continuing the conversations either online, or since we'll have your information about if there's some people in a particular region or area about getting together in person? Any thoughts anybody has on that? We'd like to continue it online and or in person if there's a group of people nearby.
Online and or.
Online, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, all of the above. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
both, all the above.
Okay, great. That's good to hear. What about, does anybody have any other thoughts, just to brainstorm real quick about other conversation topics we might have to explore with our conversations here? Any other topics that we haven't done that you might like to hear about?
I was gonna.
Well, I
say,
posted several points on the chat. I think they're
Okay.
core values. The
Okay.
in a response to what are some local values or values that people would perhaps agree on. So we should continue this discussion on that value, that
Okay.
responsibility track. I
Okay.
really like that.
Yeah,
Okay, I see. You've got like active engagement, citizen-led, co-producer of service, mutualism, building active learning communities through membership and mutuality. Okay, somebody else?
Yes, Lake Erie and rivers.
Okay, any others?
Yeah, I would like to, go ahead.
Yeah.
The
Joe,
idea of
who else?
bioregionalism, I'd love to
Bioregionalism, okay.
expand on that in terms of what it means,
Oh,
in
I'm-
terms
no,
of,
no. I'm just looking at the chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to put in a vote for bioregionalism, and also, if anybody has discovered an honest politician that actually supports the kind of process we're about, maybe we could invite one.
That's an
Okay.
oxymoron.
Okay, all right, great. Those are good ideas. Now, what about if any of you are interested in having your local community featured in a future conversation? Like I know with the first one we had with Sarakoya was Athens was featured, and their issue was the banning plastic bags and then the state preempting it. Does anybody have any thoughts of their local community on some issue they think they might be interested in? Featured. Well,
Shouldn't volunteer somebody else, but I would love to know more about Susan Catterall and either the water, but also that they have some more local control.
okay, okay, all right. Okay, and like I said, we're just gauging now, but we'll probably send this out in the survey to you. So I just have a couple more. So if you would like to host a meeting in your community and then maybe invites one of us from Ohio Community Rights Network, and we could introduce the ideas of community rights and rights of nature into the conversation. You know, something to think about if you might be interested in that.
I want to jump in. Northeast Ohio goes on a field trip to Cincinnati.
Okay. All right.
One of the conversations was about the eco village, and then Brenda was talking about healthy foods and other things, and I think that could be. I mean, anyone could be welcome, but that just popped into my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, there's other stuff in chat too. Somebody typed in bioregionalism, so
okay,
it might be Kim and Peter that talk about that. No.
Yeah, right. Peter,
and then,
something
yeah,
else.
one is another one put discussion on our debt-based monetary system, but maybe like even just the economic systems might be a.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead,
I'd
Peter.
like to, can I mention, I'd be happy to host a discussion about paradigm changes.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. All right.
One other thought is, I don't know if any of you are farmers, but the idea of having permaculture, organic, regenerative agriculture speak in this space. It's so important to our future. It's so important to the state. And listening to some of the challenges they're facing, fighting big ag might be worthwhile. And I hope you've all seen Tish's film on that subject about the efforts to get natural lights for Lake Erie out of Toledo.
Yeah, maybe Tish could get Sundance to talk to us sometime. That would be good.
Okay.
He's really great.
Well, you're giving us a lot of good ideas. Okay. Okay, just two more there. So if any of you would like to become a member of OHCRN, an active member, by joining our monthly calls, discuss strategies on how to engage residents more in the systemic changes that we need, you can let us know if you're interested in that. You know, we meet once a month, so you're welcome. And so if anybody wants to say anything, or you can think about it, and we'll send out a survey with that. And the
What
last
date are
thing,
you meeting on, Bill?
oh,
Which day?
we meet on Wednesdays. We meet on the second Wednesday at right now at 5 o'clock. Second Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
And
So
I
if
want to put in a plug for a book that we wrote in
Mhm.
2020 or 2021 called Death by Democracy.
oh yes,
A lot
yeah.
of the local community stories and a lot of the stuff we talked about tonight, the preemption and the regulatory fallacy and all that.
Mhm.
I know I gave a book to Patricia the other day, so we really want people to read them. And
Yeah, if you can put the
yeah,
link to it, Susie, that in the
okay,
chat
I
there.
will do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the last thing is about, okay, if you would like to start forming a network of residents and organizations in your community who care about, you know, various issues that you care about. And, you know, might start with you doing some research on who's doing what in your community and then finding a way to bring them together. And of course, we can help with that too. So those are just some thoughts about for you to think about. If anybody wants to say anything now, if not, we'll send these out to you in a survey and maybe a few other things to try to make it not too long, but just, you know, some of these are yes or no or quick answers there. So,
Mm.
all right. Well, this has been great, productive. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. And we look forward to continuing the conversation, and you'll hear from us pretty soon. And thanks everybody for sticking around. And
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
For facilitating.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace and love.
Bye.
Peace and love.
Peace.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.